I'm tying my extraterrestrial hopper, and the pattern starts out just like a Charlie Boy hopper. Difference being I'm using a metallic green loco foam. And another thing I do is I also like to use this ice thread, which is basically a monofilament thread. And the reason I like to use it is when I'm making segments, it just doesn't bleed out that flashy underbody, which is why I find this fly to be so effective for me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tie in my binder strip. And this little strip that I'm tying in here on top is just going to help everything bind down and not move around. I'm just going to compress all that. Also going to help the fly float a little bit more too. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that piece of foam and pull it forward like so. And I'm just going to try to line it up right in the middle here. And when I do that, I'm just going to pull up so that the hook kind of makes a little bit of a indentation. And then I'm going to take my scissors through that indentation and just poke a hole so that I can run the hook eye through it. Just like that. And then I'll trim it so that it's even, or at least fairly even, with the back end. Now I'm going to take my Zap-A-Gap, and I like the Zap-A-Gap that you can brush on here. And I'm just going to try to make sure I coat all the foam. Okay, once I have the Zap-A-Gap on, my eyes start watering. Just going to take that back and just pinch this back end until they bond. Okay. Alright, meanwhile while that dries a little bit, I'm going to tie my legs, and for the back set of legs what I'm going to be using is these silly nymph legs, and they've got a little sparkle to them, and I tie a knot in them, leaving 2 strands forward, 1 strand coming back, so I just cut one of the strands off on the back end. And those are going to be my hind legs, they're also going to be my front legs, and they're also going to be the side, and you'll see that here in a minute. So before I tie those in, I'm going to make my back segment here first. And I really want to bind in there and really squish that down, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take my 2 sets of legs, put one on top, just keep it in place there for a second, take the other one right here, that one on top, and just going to make sure that they're about the even length. Okay. Looks about right. Now I'm just going to bind those down real nice and secure. Pull all that out of the way. And I'm just going to lead my thread forward over the top. Bring that first wrap around nice and loose so it doesn't bind down, and then the second one I'll put some torque on it. Okay, now not that it makes any difference, but I like the fly to be, for the most part, more of a greenish color or an olive color. So until they make a loco foam that is all olive and green, the best we have is one that is black on the side, so I kind of like to hide a little bit of that. Hopefully that's a better camera angle. So like I was saying is, I don't think it makes a difference, but I like to just keep the sides a little bit more true to color, so I'm going to bring that the leg materials up along the side, and I'm just binding them down on both sides like so. Okay, pull that forward, skip a little.
I walk out without my flies. Okay, yeah.
Do the same step again. Hop spot. Bind it down. Alright, now that I can see how my body's kind of configured and just the overall proportion of it, I'm just going to take this back piece and I'm going to get about flush to the hook. I'm going to trim that, make sure it's nice and straight, and then I'm going to get in here on the side and just taper it back a little bit, like so. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a middle set of legs. So I'm going to cross back to that previous space. I'm going to take one set of legs right there, grab another one on my side, and cinch it down right there. Hop back forward, and that right there is the primary part of the body. And once I have my legs about to the size and everything looks good, then I'm going to take some chartreuse colored midge flash, about a clump like that, and I'm going to tie that in right there on top, just like that. And then I'm going to trim it about the length of the body, like so. Now I have that on top. And now I'm going to take my hair stacker, and I'm using a chartreuse deer hair that is going to go over the top. Once I have my hair stacked, I'm just going to pull it out of the stacker. Measure it up to be about the length of that under flash. Trim that off. Get myself a little bit of nubs there. Okay, first wrap, not going to pull too tight, just enough to secure it, and then I'll really bind down, come back into it, and flare it out. And that extra deer hair is just going to help it float a little bit higher. Make it a little easier to see and keep it floating just a little bit longer. So once I'm there, pretty much done with everything. Now I'm going to whip finish. Try not to grab any hairs. And that right there is the extraterrestrial.